Boo. It's time for some more arranging. Because guess who has no ideas for writing original music? So, of course, I shall steal from the long and dead composers, ruin their artworks and their masterpieces, feel no shame, and then move on to the next one to destroy. So, that's the plan. I had some pasta for dessert. I'm so close today. I had some pasta for desserts, not desserts, for dinners, the other D. It was delicious, some carbonara. And I liked it, but I wish I'd saved the tea that I got. Instead, I just have stupid, cringe, lame water instead of very awesome tea. Even though most drinks that we actually drink are like more than 90% water. I think Coca-Cola is like 97% water. Which is pretty cool. Although a friend did tell me that milk is not, well, milk is also mostly water, but it's also a large chunk oil and fat. At least like whole milk. It's like pretty fatty. And I like whole milk. Not that I have anything against like 2% milk really. Just that if you can have whole milk, well then you should. And it's delicious. I didn't get a blueberry muffin today though. I forgot to. I guess I still could. But I didn't, and I think my life is going to be over because of that. I can't believe I didn't get any. It's okay though. We'll get them next time. Make sure your posture is all my pasta. I was about to say pasta. Make sure your pasta's all good before you go live. I didn't quite do that. But I meant posture. I have to sneeze. I no longer have to sneeze. Okay. No, that crisis was averted. Okay. So let's get to work. I did review another score before this. I reviewed Nimrod's score before this because I think I kind of want to take what Elgar did there and I want to apply it to this intermezzo, which is not really the same kind of vibe. It's kind of different. There's more counter melody stuff happening and it's faster. But just for some like pre-game inspiration, that's what I did. And you know what? Before I start, I just want to start off by changing the look of the score because now that I'm looking at it, it looks terrible. So let's change up the style a little bit. Leland. Gross. I want Emmentaler. Oh, ooh, fancy. What about Gonville? How's that different than Leland? Yeah, I like Gonville more. Wow. Line thickness? Oh. Oh, weird. Nice, we have the SCP files sheet music. Looks like piano tiles. Let's make you slightly thicker, like 0.14. What does that look like? Ooh, I like how thick that is. Maybe a little less, 13. Beautiful. I actually really like these slightly thicker lines. I think they're sexier. I like it sexier. Let's change that key signature, and I think it's in 3/4. She sure is. This measures 1 beat. Look at that. What do the other rests look like? Oh, this font is cute. Wait. This font is adorable. Oh my gosh, look at those symbols. These symbols are adorable. Any other things? What is it? I really like this one. Can I set this to be my default? Wait, hold on. Style. Any other style things I want to change? How do I make this my default? Default. Save style. Oh, built-in styles. No, can I make my own? I guess I can always reset to default. No, I want this to be my new default. Why can't it be that way? Oh my gosh, you can change everything. Page number, translator, vibrato line. I don't even know there was such a thing. Bend, system text, beams, wide. Regular, regular. Okay. Let's get to work then. So andante tenoramente, I mean, andante is kind of a nebulous concept, really. Andante can be fast, andante can be slow. And I think it really just depends. I don't even think, like, people will argue interpretation-wise how fast andante should be, but I feel like composers would have similarly varied opinions on how much andante is. So, andante tenoramente, which is what I named this project because that's just such a great word. Teneramente. I don't even know what it means. Probably means like, I don't know, spicy or something, but so we're here for it. Okay. Harp. Get out of here, harp. I don't think I'll be using harp. Why are the pietis separated from the... what intonation? No, connect. There you go. Much like the Xbox. Trumpets. Ooh, I don't know if I'm going to be using trumpets. Actually I'm going to hide the trumpets just so they don't clutter the score. Bassoon. I will also add a contrabassoon because I don't know why I don't already have a contrabassoon in my template project. Contra, bassoon, there you go. Hello, let's put you... woodwinds. There you go, contrabassoon. Beautiful. Now thankfully this is because this is in piano, I'm saying that you guys are going to be quite easy to transcribe because you're all in the pitch that you're written at, unlike some instruments. Ahem. I should just have this over here so you don't keep alt-tabbing. Okay, that's the first bit. And the second bit is... okay, there's some like chord stuff happening here, but I want some, let's have some contrary motion. So something like... okay, awesome. I'll make you both quiet like this. Alright, you know, alright, I think in the original score it's dolce. There's dolce over here, not over here. You know, I'll make you start off as dolce, which means dolce. Okay. So my first thought is that this is too fast. So slow, slow, slow. Bit slower. Try again. Still think that's a bit too fast. Okay. I'm going to make you even slower. I know it says on Dante, but screw you. 71, try. Okay, that's a bit more like it. Now it comes to the accompaniment, and there's this wonderful counter melody that's happening here that I think might work for pizzicato, but I'm not quite sure yet. So I guess we're just gonna have to try it and find out. Not quite sure what the violas would do though, if that were the case. Because I'm thinking these parts ought to be played by the very resonant cello, that way the pizzicato rings out a bit more than it would on a viola. And then I don't know what the violas would do. Nothing. Maybe just hold on to this note, I don't know. You guys, also piano. You, and then you. Wow. Or actually, wow, there you go. I know the original score said piano, but I want a little quieter. And then you hear bum 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 bum. I know in Brahms' score he wrote slurs, but I'm going to choose to ignore that. And write this part in some pizzicato. So D, F, D, A, just like the Food and Drug Administration. And then also bonk. I'll let you be a little bit louder because you're pizzicato. Piz, there you go. Piz de nerf. Why are your cellos so bizarrely quiet? A bit louder, please. Hold on to those. And then you go down to D. Although I don't really like that you're playing so low like this. There is like a huge gap here in between these notes, which I guess is filled in by you guys, but I would like the melody to be louder. Hijikado I don't like as much as I thought I would. Maybe it's more like what Brahms wrote. Maybe I could just have the best of both worlds. Bang. Beautiful. And you could be played. Okay, I'm not even sure if this pizzicato exists. I can't hear it at all. Here, let me try this. If I... It's a bit better. And you also go back down to A, because Brahms is very creative, just like me. What the heck would even go on here? Probably like... What's the... Okay, probably something more like this. B3, that's what this is playing, right? So is it the same? Oh, it's the same. Pizzicato here, try this. And then you go back to Arco, please. Arco, there's no Arco option, I just have to manually type it. And try again. Shut up. How do we like this? It feels a bit too rough. I think viola up here will be nicer. Try this. Okay, what the heck is going on here? Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Okay. I think maybe... Oh, what do I think? Therefore I am. Yeah, I think there should be some, like, fleeting notes here. You definitely play the bass, my friend, but, like, don't hold the note for too long, I think. And what's that note there? Is that D? I think that's D. What? A? No. B. Not D. This would be D, I think. This would be B. There you go. I think you should be like, dot these notes along here. What was that? E, E. G, E, A, sports. Actually, you're good like this. Nice pizzicatos. And since you're already playing E, you can move up to G. I'm promoting you. I want the pizzicato to be a bit more pronounced. I am inventing notes that Brahms didn't write now, but whatever. What's this? I could probably... What's this? E... Is A to... Yeah, it's just A major. But over E. It's probably a C. Well, there's already middle C here. I guess it wouldn't hurt to write, like, A here. That's probably not a bad idea. And make you... Arco again. Or F, actually, is what I want. And then you just say E the whole time, right? You don't have to tie it, you could do it like this. And then U with the G natural, because of course. Oh, and you're actually supposed to go to B. I misread that, I guess. And I want, at least in this next part, I want some woodwinds to come in, but at least in the beginning here, is what we have. It feels kind of weird when it ends like that in the arco strings. So, okay. And you know what? What in tarnation? I want you guys to be even slower, because I'm just so extra. 69. The melody needs a break. I don't like that it just holds on forever. I think it's more beautiful if there's like a pause. Okay. Although I don't know if this is technically more correct. I'm sure musicians will understand this though. But I did that here because this just feels a little wrong, but I think this is a bit more technically correct. Let me add a few more slurs here. Okay. And that's a-okay. I'm making it a little louder. Why not? At least for now while I'm working on the quiet parts. Now for this next stage, I think I'm gonna go add a few more little bits here. My plan going into this is probably to put the middle voice of the viola in the horns, the cellos and the contrabasses in the bassoons, and you guys in the flutes and clarinets. So nothing too difficult. In fact, very easy peasy. But some stuff does seem to change here. So let me at least write the melody out and then we'll figure it out from there. I'll just put this here so I'm not jump scaring you with sheet music every time. No, it's still A. Okay, so it's another 4 bars. Now I'll put it also in the U. What are you called? Violin. There's like this big part here. I want to be very clear here to do different strokes on that, so I will do that. Also, I don't think pizzicato needs this. For other things, any other notes I should probably tie together? These middle voices are okay. The melody, of course, maybe you here, you get tied. Strings, I think, will work if they're more tied. You wanna know if they ate all the chocolate I just bought? No comment. Now it's time to read this. Let me just listen to it to make sure I wrote it correctly. Yeah, Brahms' music is so awesome. Okay. And now well actually, let me write the string part out first. I'm going to make it intentionally a bit more sparse so that I can kind of fill it in with more woodwinds. So there it is. So what's the rub? And then beautiful do sharp here. There's do sharp. And then A. Oopsies. Once again, I'll have these pitsies and the, what do you call the viola? So what's that? A, D. Oh man, I'm testing my alto clef knowledge here. And then A, F. And then I guess down to E, why not? Piz. Have the pizzes be a bit louder, so I can actually hear them. I wonder what this would sound like in like a string quintet instead of a string groups like this, but oh well. You also, but with arcos. And it's kind of the opposite here. Wow. And slurs there. Not pits, the other one, arco. Oh, I forgot the slurs because I'm dumb. Okay. There's also more voices here than just y'all. Oh man. There's this wonderful second here. Moving up to the main melody. I can probably have you play this, that's probably fine. Or actually, no. Don't do that. That's what the woodwinds are for. They can fill in all the flavor notes. You guys are just playing kind of the basics. And then how do I do it over here? Okay, that's probably fine. Maybe. There's this second here in the bass. I did not have enough coffee today. I had a streak there. I drank coffee for like a whole 5 days, which I know isn't very much, but usually I try to save coffee. Don't have it too much, because not that it's like particularly bad for you. It's just I try not to drink it too much. I love the taste of it though. I love its bitteriness and a little bit of creamy on top. I know, well, how will the strings fare playing the second here? You know what? Wrong, I could just have you guys do it. Also, get the contrabasses involved. And then we can kind of have some more dudes do this. What in tarnation is happening here? That's not the note at all. It's this. Wait, no. You're B, and then B again. B and G. That's correct. No, yes. Yes, no, yes, no. That's correct. You do this. And then you go up to B. There you go. Just the accompaniment. I have a feeling those pizzicato, like these little clusters here, sound a bit better on a piano than they do on like a pizzicato strings, just because of the, like the clarity of the piano. On strings, it's a little bit less clear, but I'm hoping maybe it'll sort itself out. Okay, I'm just gonna have you play kind of what you're doing because I'm very creative here. That's not it. F. Uh-huh. Where was I? Here, in this measure. And then a nice low E. And I'll have the contrabass go back to playing arco, but the cello will keep pitzing along. Because, well, that's what it was born to do. And then there's this wonderful A here. Down to G. I'd also have you play E. No, you hold this, and then you maybe do this. Oh wait, it's more like this. Okay, I'm happier with that. Oh wait, you probably want A. Yeah. What is... What? Someone sounded like they were playing a wrong note. Excuse me? That's not what you were supposed to be playing. You're supposed to be playing E. It's literally lying to me. I can't believe it. Alright, whatever. Just shut up. Everyone else is playing these notes anyway. Dang. Okay. Do you play any instrument? I play the harmonica. I have 6. Okay, so that's the strings done. But, I mean, orchestrating would be pretty easy if it was just strings. Don't you think? The fun part is when we add everyone else. So, I'm gonna add everyone else now. Time to add some clarinets. I think clarinet would go great here. You shut up. Actually, since you're 3/4, you do 2 quarters. And I want a clarinet and flute. I just want an extremely sweet sound here. So, dolce, dolce. Oh yeah, and the Grinch. The slurs for woodwind instruments are slightly different, just because of their construction. So I shall take you and go here. For this middle voice here, these multiple middle voices, I just want one of them to be on a horn. I'm thinking here. I'll put you on a horn maybe, but like an arco horn. Man, Brahms is really good at these chromaticisms. What a beautiful G. Any notes that were being held here at the beginning of the phrase? What was the name of the program is available in Windows and also what prices have? It is available in Windows. Bang is Windows. It costs approximately nothing because it's free, which is why I'm using it. I have been thinking of switching to a paid program. I just haven't. So, but for me, I'm just using, this is called MuseScore. I guess I didn't say the name of it. MUSESCORE. Anyway, where are we? You hear that's my impression of Brahms. He probably sounded like that while he was writing it. So this here is playing this wonderful G natural here. G natural. And I guess it would move up to A. Because here you play this, so I need to kind of make up something here. A, and then probably stays at A. I gotta be careful though, because horns do need to breathe, so I'll add some rests in. Something like that's probably good. And now for... should buy a second screen. I do have a second screen. I have you guys here, and I have OBS here, my streaming program. I wish I had a third screen. I need 3 screens. So I have this one. I would like to have this one on a third screen somewhere, but I don't really have anything else. So unfortunately, so I mean, there are virtual desktops, but that's not really much better than alt-tabbing. Okay, right. Next part is I want some bassoons and maybe a contrabassoon action. I think that would be very cute. Actually, I want the second violin part, or I was gonna say put it on a bassoon. Then I saw this and I'm like, maybe not. So I think oboe would be a bit too harsh though, but I guess I can try it on second clarinet. That's not a bad idea. Put you here. And put some wonderful slurs in. I want to try something here. Do like this. And I want... No. Yes? Yes. I want something to kind of imitate like a solpant on the violins and stuff. So I'm gonna kind of imitate that by using flutes. Let's have like one flute here and one flute here. Again. Not that short. Okay, it's feeling a little bit sparse there. The harmony needs to really thicken here. And I think it's because of the way I've written it is just using pizzicatos here to emphasize like the kind of counter melody that's going on. However, it does mean that it's lacking the sustain that the piano would have if you were to play it on the instrument for which it was written. So I think some beautiful like bassoon or even trombone chords would work really nicely here. Which is what I think I'll do. And progress for the climactic part. Kind of. I'll figure it out. I don't think I'll get to that, at least today, but I'm pretty slow at doing this. I mean, I'm also explaining my thoughts to you along the way, but that's fine. I don't really mind doing that. Right, the harmony again, I want to put in the bassoons, and I want to put the low notes in the contrabassoon. Wow! Contrabassoon is so angry. I gotta tame it a little bit. It's a beautiful instrument, but it is very angry. And sometimes that's exactly what I need, but sometimes it might be a bit too brash. I know the tuba exists, but whatever. Not yet. Later. I'm saving that. Maybe I know like a normal bassoon can also play this, so maybe I shall do that. Currently in a composition program. Nope. Never have been and never will, probably. Unless someone asked me to teach, which they would be an idiot to do, but, you know. Again, actually, this probably would be better in a normal bassoon. Be a bit more resonant. Or actually, no, I think contrabassoon is okay, so I can free up the bassoons for some harmony. I guess I could just add more bassoons, but... For something so sparse as this intermezzo, I think having, like, a huge orchestra would feel kind of... What's the word? Like I feel like a mismatch. I feel like there's a more descriptive word for that, but I guess that's the word that comes to mind. It would feel like kind of mismatching. Putting too much flour or something into the mix is what it would feel like. Too much fluff, and it would come out a bit stale if I had too many instruments. So I think I got to keep it a bit sparse. The original was sparse, so I'm trying to keep this rather sparse. Not like actually sparse, obviously, because I'm putting it for an orchestra, which is hardly sparse at all, really, because it's an orchestra. But you know, do your best to transfer the feeling. That's something that I think I gotta kind of get past, is not necessarily imitate the sound of the piano itself, because there's no way to imitate the sound of the piano in an orchestra. Okay, the piano has a very specific timbre, the clarinet has a specific timbre, the oboe has a specific timbre. All the instruments come together, and they can't really replace each other, except for some very special cases. But of course, it's not really. It doesn't really matter to translate just the notes or translate just the timbre. It's mostly about translating the feeling, and that's what I'm trying to go for here. Something very soft, at least in the beginning. Of course, because Brahms is a good composer, it's not just the same feeling throughout the whole thing. It does get a bit nicer and more agitated in the middle section, but at least for now, it's nice and fluffy. So we gotta keep that up. I think we can probably have the two other bassoons kind of outline this harmony here, maybe play like a sixth or third or something. Actually, a third. I think bassoons work nicest when they're in close harmony. That goes for both low and high. I think a low bassoon harmony like this. Very menacing and very beautiful. But even up in the higher range, I think it also sounds very pretty. So I'm gonna have some closer harmonies in the bassoons. Probably to outline this D major. I was about to say A. Wrong. That would have been completely wrong. Probably like this. And shut up. There you go. And then there's also these notes here. Probably have the oboes play the other things, although I am a bit hesitant to do this because this oboe might stick out a bit too much. That's what I'm afraid of. Of course I could probably just add like another clarinet or something if I really wanted. Again, a little bit of space here. I think having rests just makes it feel more natural and also just more... makes it feel more alive to put more rests. It's something that I've kind of had to wrangle myself into doing, especially as I mature as a classical musician, is that you need to put rests. It makes not only each voice much more clear, because growing up, I was tutored to play the piano, right? And, you know, I can press the notes at the right time, but interpretation is really only something that I could really understand as soon as I stopped taking lessons, if that's... I mean, I didn't take lessons. I took them for 10 years, but that was mostly from, like, you know, me being a kid up to me starting adulthood. So it's really only as I matured beyond that that I really could say with confidence what I mean by interpretation. And I think at least, not only for piano, but also for orchestra, is that you gotta make sure each voice has space to breathe. You gotta maybe imagine that each voice as in, you know, melody voice is like a singer. And they have to take breaths every so often. And not doing this not only makes the music, like, it kind of removes some fat from the music and makes it easier to hear each voice, which I think is the most important part. Each voice is more clear. Instead of it kind of melding together into one big pot of notes, which can... I mean, if you hear that enough times and you kind of get to ignore it, like I was doing with my old interpretations of music as a kid, but now I really appreciate being able to hear each voice clearly. And this is something that Glenn Gould has talked about extensively, or at least that's something that he kind of touted around. It's the reason why he dislikes romantic composers and their music, because romantic composers tend to rely very heavily on the sustain pedal. You know, that's just the style. Big arpeggios that are sustained with the sustain pedal. It's a very particular sound, of course, but that's partly why he disliked that, is because pressing down the sustain pedal so much really removes the clarity from the individual notes, and instead makes kind of a hazy sound. And, you know, Mr. Gould, who was, of course, renowned for his articulation of counterpoint, his enunciation of inner voices, you can see and you can understand why he would think that the sustain pedal would be kind of annoying. And so, all that to say, I'm gonna add some more rest in my instruments. Usually the seconds here aren't like super duper recommended when it comes to orchestration. Well, okay, I gotta be careful with my words here. It's not that it's not recommended. It's more like it won't produce a very kind of smooth sound. Of course, it might create a very rough sound, which might be exactly what you want, but that's not exactly what I want here. So I'm thinking I might change this for like a clarinet. You know what? I keep just add another clarinet. Get over here. Bang. 3 clarinets. 3 clarinets. Get over here. And there also need to be more dynamics. I'll add those in a bit after I complete this 8-bar phrase, but there definitely needs to be more dynamic stuff happening here. Alright, what chord is this? D sharp, B, F sharp, D sharp, B, F sharp. Yeah, that's a B major chord. So I had to look at the piano to to know what chord that was. So I'll have you play maybe like this. You can slur, but you'll tie. And then yeah, you do. You stay here. I'll tie y'all together. You guys kind of move like this, and bassoons here can do. What do I want bassoons to do? Regular female sounds, or is there a different one you use? I use the Berlin orchestra sounds on MuseScore, which are there are paid sounds. So I don't think there's anything like wrong with using the ones that come with the program. It's just that I choose to pay for them. I don't even know if I would necessarily say they're better. I just chose to pay for them. Not to say that I'm disappointed with my purchase or anything, but you know, there's nothing wrong with the ones that come with MuseScore. Okay. What is the harmony here? Is it the same? Kinda, yeah. You hear with the G, B, G, or in D sharp, or no, that's G sharp, B, D sharp. That's what G sharp minor. So maybe move up here a little bit would be fun. How regular music sounds of saxophones are so loud that basically only can hear. Yeah, you're going to have to really turn down the saxophones here in the mixer if you want to get them sound with the rest of the orchestra. It's very, very strange, and I don't quite understand it, but let me do something like this. There is no other saxophone option in the MuseScore like shop though. No one else has recorded a saxophone. Maybe because they just don't feel like there's enough demand for it, but oh well. I have been thinking about ways to make my own kind of instrument synthesizer sampler that would be a bit more realistic and also more controllable, because as it stands right now, all of the Muse sounds that exist, they're based on like instrument samples, like actual audio samples that they just play back and they kind of manipulate in real time. But I think there's got to be a better way that I'm thinking about, and it involves a lot of math. But I just haven't gotten around to doing it because making a VST is something that I'm completely unfamiliar with. Like I can do the math and I can like, you know, write a program to do the math, but I don't know how to write a program to actually be able to plug it into a MuseScore thing or something you can do. So mainly just like concert bands that use them like in schools. That's true. More and more orchestral composers, especially around like the beginning of the 20th century, started using more of them. But yeah, it's mostly bands that use saxophones, and I think it's because, well, I think maybe orchestral composers in the general classical style might think that the saxophone has a timbre that's quite similar to a bassoon or a horn. And a clarinet in the higher range. So I feel like orchestral composers don't really feel a need to have specifically the saxophone involved, or maybe they just, because of course, like when the saxophone was invented, it was kind of like people didn't really like the saxophone for reasons. But now nowadays, like people are of course more open to the saxophone. I don't really know why more composers don't really see a need for the saxophone. And me personally, I don't often see a need for the saxophone because, again, it's usually if I want a saxophone, it's in like the more middle range here of instruments, and even then, like I feel like a clarinet or even an oboe can kind of get the job done. But not to disparage the saxophone or anything, I still think it's a great instrument. It's just that I don't really, in the music that I tend to write, I don't really envision a saxophone in my mind, or envision, I don't, and listen, a saxophone in my mind. Maybe that's just because of my aesthetics, though. I probably have some weird orchestral elitist bias that I totally have. Anyway, where was I? G sharp minor, and then your A, F sharp, A, C, E, C. I'll probably call that F sharp minor with a C on top, or with an E on top. So F sharp minor 7, I think. I don't really know the chord names. I'm just gonna guess. So you guys move down. Because the melody moves up, so contrary motion, y'all gotta move down. Because of reasons. Anything original before seems yes, actually the main thing I do is write original music. I've been kind of in like a writer's block thing lately though, so just to at least have like something musical to do, I've been doing some arranging, but usually I'm writing original music. But you know, just to kind of at least get through this musical writer's block, I'm doing some arranging stuff. It's also good practice, you know? All the notes are already written for me. I just need to put them to the instruments of the orchestra. Where was I? Here, this one specific bar. And it moves to, what is that, B minor, B major again. Oh, I almost said the wrong thing. I would have been so embarrassed. Anyway, you move back here. And then this is probably, what's that, E, A, D, or D sharp, A. What the heck? Is that like a E major 7? Is that what that's supposed to be? But there's the A here. A, D sharp, E, whatever. I'll just have both of you play E, and you can play the A, I guess. Woodwinds only. Oh wait, I forgot the flutes. Ooh, no, I want you. Hold on, you go here. Let's have a... That's right here, tenuto. This part here, be an oboe and flute, go. Okay. I'm thinking here in clarinet and flute. Maybe clarinet and oboe might be a bit nicer. Let me give that a try. Go. I was thinking particularly these 3 low notes here will probably sound a bit nicer in the oboe instead of the flute. In the flute, it was kind of hard to hear them at all. I think the oboe would be a better choice for this. So let me just put you in first flute here. But of course what matters more is what it sounds like combined with the strings. And again, like I said, I'm planning to add a few more dynamics to this. I just haven't done that yet. Wait, hold on. Where am I? Like right here, I think. This is the B. It's like a E figure happening here. You just stay on E, I think. Or You can go down here and you just do this. And and this D sharp, hold, move up to E. Okay. Try again. Again, needs dynamics, but at least to have the orchestration in place. Okay. Since I'm very creative, I'm gonna make it even slower. Okay, and I think it'll be much nicer when I actually make stuff louder, so... Let me think about this. Brahms here wrote that the crescendo should happen around here. I want the crescendos to happen a bit more often though, like especially here I want this note to be very brilliant. So maybe like... And then here, do like a decrescendo to this. And let's be a bit more specific about what I want. Maybe I want you to go up to forte at some point. Maybe it's a bit too dramatic too early. You can start there, I guess. And maybe make you a bit longer. And let's see what it sounds like if I copy the dynamics into both of you. Okay. And then the same kind of thing happening here. Oh my gosh. And then bang. Okay, and I suppose we'll do the same kind of jazz in the woody ones. Oh, whoopsies. And I think it's the clarinet playing the next second part. So you also copy the dynamics of your... Why are you guys not connected? What the heck? Connect. Yeah, whatever. Lots of dolce. That's much better with the dynamics in place. And I think here at the second part, there ought to be more like dynamics happening in the, not you, the rest of the accompaniment. So like here, all you guys just get a bit louder and then a bit quieter. Don't get quieter until this last bar here. And you know what? Also do it like this. I think this might be a bit easier on my ears. Easier, if you will. There you go. And then And then you two do some dynamics. Oh, you're incorrect. There you go. Nope, that's also wrong. There you go. Okie dokie. I'll lower the volume of that a little bit. Okay, do I think any other instrument needs to get involved? I think at least during this more climactic part here, there needs to be a few more instruments. So maybe like trombones. Like these two middle voices here, I think I might like in other instruments as well. So, you know what, let's give that a shot, why not? I'll put you here. You here too. One thing I've learned is you want to have a crescendo where it's not the hairpins, you don't want the annoying dotted lines with the... Dang. Press V to make it invisible. Control T and write out crescendo from there. You can edit it. What, like... I know you can also get rid of the line. You can just go to style here and you can just turn off the line. And then wow, it's crescendo. But there's no line, so you can do that too. That might be a bit easier than having to do a weird workaround. You can also change the text to whatever you want, I think. Boom! Pretty cool. I don't really like the sound of the trombone as much as I thought I would. I think two horns might be a bit better. Implode. Right here, oh, two. Yes, I like those horns there. Oh, shirt G, I made an omelet. Wow, I'm not proud of you. Okay, try a different horn sound. It would have made my life so much easier if I knew that. Believe me, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. Did you know you can write anything you want in the dynamics box? You can also change the directions of notes. You can also change the direction of the note head. I'm pretty sure you can also move notes around using a keybind that I forgot. Probably only works on like piano and stuff. Here's something I learned recently, actually. Well, I didn't learn it recently, but I figured it out recently. That you can connect notes across bar lines if you select the rests. And then you go to properties and you let them like beam across. And it'll let you do weird stuff like this. You'll also have to select these, I think. Oh, there you go. Boom. Look at that. How beautiful. You can also change the direction. You could also move these. Make it as tall as you want. Pretty fun. Add extra voices. Yep, you can. Fun. Okay. You probably also need to crescendo. I don't know why I didn't think of that. think there needs to be something heavier here. So this part here, I think I want to be like in the low parts of maybe the contrabassoon and you. I actually I made you guys pizzicatos because I'm very smart. Oh, that's a wrong note. Who's playing the wrong note? You. You're a bit louder than I'd like. Sorry, I had that Half-Life 2 Source Engine sound there. I would like to introduce a tuba here, maybe. That would be kind of sweet. Tuba here. Okay, and I think it's mostly the same melody from here. Is it just a repeat? No, these inner voices are a bit different. But is the melody the same? Yeah, the melody seems to be the same. It's just that the accompaniment changes a bit. Okay. And I guess I have a little bit of freedom here to change some stuff around if the melody is mostly the same. It changes like here at this next part, but like for the next 8 bars after the ones I've written, the melody seems to be mostly the same. Okay, so I guess I have a little bit of freedom to experiment here. I'm not sure if I want to keep the melody and the strings. I might want to shift it over to the woodwinds instead. I think double clarinets here, I mean I already have them going, but having them be the main thing playing the melody would be very nice, so maybe I'll do that next. Okay. And then, since I'm very creative, bang. Easy peasy. Maybe 2 clarinets, 2 flutes, go. Alright, mezzo piano. I guess I only needed to do it for 1 or 2 of these lines. Whatever. I also realize now that I could probably just do this. Man, I'm very smart. There you go. I don't know why I didn't have it like that before. Hindsight is 2020. Get out of here. Nope. There you go. Okie dokie. Okay, fortes here. And I want the horns to do some counter melody stuff here. I think that'd be very, very pretty. But what? But what? Right, the slurs, that's what I was gonna change. You know what, just get rid of all the slurs so I can redo them. Seem to have forgotten a few in my first one. That's a bit embarrassing. There you go. Oh, that flute wants to go all the way down to B. Oh, that's not exactly very flute-like now, is it? Okay, you know what? Both of you flutes can play the same thing because they're playing the melody. But first that means I need to write it in. Whoopsies. There you go. Okay. Again, both flutes. Give it a shot. Go. Again, I want some more horn and bassoon-like stuff happening here. Maybe a tuba playing these wonderful, like, bum 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 bum. That might be fun. So starting here, it's a little bit quieter. I think kind of woodwinds are quieter on their own, so I'm okay with most of piano here. I should just made it quieter. Anyway, right, bassoon. That's right, and some, what is happening here? Oh, is that a D major chord? Yeah, so maybe something like, this would be good. And then you would go like bum. And I think some of this next melody should be in like oboes or something. What's that? A. I'm gonna put you in bass clef because I can't read that. Where's the clef? Get over here. And make my life easier. My less Gotta be easier. There you go. You hear playing... What are you playing? I don't think... Well, a horn can play that low, I guess, but I don't think it'll particularly want to. But maybe. No, 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 no. What the heck? No. I hear aw 2, not 3, 2. Maybe like, just not the entire way, but most of the way here. Same with you guys, I think. And then you are the same chord. And so, again, very creative. Dang it. That note is quite low, though. Well. That sounds a bit too heavy. In a way that I don't really like. Maybe tuba can save the day. Or maybe not even tuba, just... I should probably just have a normal bass play this. No, no, no. What is this stupid other note input version? Get out of here. I don't like it. I'll just have you guys both play the same thing. And then the strings will mostly play some chord stuff. That's the plan anyway. Where am I? Oh yeah, that's right, the chords or the accompaniment changes slightly. Not by a whole lot though. What the heck is going on here? Okay. I want these parts to be played also by oboes. But also you guys. Okay. What's this harmony? It like changes a bit. I don't remember this F natural being in there. And so that's something new. And then G. I think G sharp. And then B. And great chord, Brahms. C, E. Probably. G kind of moves probably down to E as well. And I'm not sure where that B wants to. I guess the B can stay. Nice crescendo here would be good. Something tells me that the violin should come back. That's just my instinct. But just the first violins. No one else. There you go. No dramatic crescendo yet. As good as that sounds. I'll save it. And then C, what's that? B again? No, yes, B. B minor. And then A major over E. I probably want to C here somewhere. Beautiful. Probably a rest here would be good. Like those. Good. Actually, I don't think a rest would be good. I changed my mind. And go back to the, what's that? E minor-ish, or maybe C major. Probably C major. Or, no. That'd be C diminished. No. Yes. Man, I'm so good at this. But also go back to quiets. So once again, Do major, but over F. Okay, I gotta also write the stuff here in the woodwinds, and maybe the brass. Where was I? Here. The trombone probably is what I want here. Or no, get rid of that. Do this instead. Well, actually, let's keep doing the staccato-ish stuff that I had going on here. Maybe something more like this. Okay. And trombones, come help me. Come fill in the harmonies. With the... Let's just still be... Wait, what? This is a little funny, hold on. Am I looking at the same thing? Yeah, the harmony here changes. I gotta be aware of that. Okay. Hopefully you didn't write anything else that conflicts with that. And that wonderful chromaticism there. Oh yeah, the U. Any other, what, F's here? There's this F here, but it's sharpened by this point. Okay. Right, here you are B diminished, I want to say. Or, yeah. Well, D minor, I think, too, but I think, well, I think D minor would be more interesting, but... I think you moving in thirds would be more interesting, but also not really what's happening. You probably move down. Yeah, like this. You can kind of converge here, that's fine. There you go. I want tuba here. Don't tie that note. kind of want some timpani movement here. Let me listen to the melody again. Um, 118, number 2. Yep. It's so awesome, isn't it? If only it was given a better name than 118, number 2. Isn't that just a terrible name? Terrible. But it sounds great. But it's a horrible name. And this part here, I want to, like, this next phrase, I want to be very dramatic, like, just an outpouring of feelings. So everything that I've written here has kind of been building up to this end of the 8-bar phrase, right? So more brass, more stuff, probably some timpani to really accentuate something. It doesn't really feel like it's conducive to timpani just yet, but whatever. We are in the beginning stages of it. This is literally the first 16 bars. So I'm a little hesitant of these very close harmonies here. Actually, no, they can stay close, and then in the phrase, I'll make them kind of far apart. So where was I? There's something around here, right here, I think. And I want here, probably some brass chorale would be interesting. So yeah. Maybe trombone, or no, yeah, trombone. That's my trombone impression. Alright, this is more bass trombone line down here. This D sharp is a bit low. You know what? I think a horn would be better doing that. Again, I know a horn it doesn't struggle at these notes, it's just not super built for them, but I think it's what I want. You know what? Why am I even saying that when I have a tuba? There you go. It doesn't really have the same kind of quality though. It's a bit more pillowy, whereas the horn is a bit more of a bitier kind of tone. I guess maybe the bassoon would be better at doing this. Let's do bassoons then. Just one bassoon, how about that? We'll have one bassoon and like a horn chorale going here. I think that'd be cute. Yeah, this is a very, very pretty. I just think Brahms's piano music is generally very, very good, and his chamber music. I personally think that Brahms's orchestra is fine. It's fine. Definitely not my favorite, or even close to being interesting, but I think his chamber and solo work is very, very good. Everything else though, well, I don't know. I can listen to it maybe. Actually, hold on. Why are you... There you go. Do it more like this, where I have y'all play... You just shut up for a bit. I want here... Where am I? This wonderful D major part. Maybe like this. Both of you nice and quiet. I think that'd be good. I don't like these. I just would like you guys to be normal staccato. There you go, staccato. Is there any part here I should do? Oh yeah, I completely forgot this. Pop? No, PP. I want PP, not pop. Don't pop the PP. F, D major, or F sharp, sorry. And then E. What is after this? Probably more Do major. D, there's an E there, so probably, what's that? Oh, A major. I know chords. Probably want some contrary motion here, so I imagine you go to E, you go to A, and you go to E. There's parallel octave there. Oh, forgive myself for it. Actually, you move, maybe you move down to C. And where was I? Right here is more D major. Great. Could probably just, or wait, no. Over here. That's right here with the, oh, big chord. That's that B major with the A on top. A plugin to just say on top of the staff system what kind of chord all the instruments are cooperatively playing on the start of the measure or something. I mean, I do have this Roman numeral thing that I use when I'm writing music, but like to have it always, I'd have to keep scrolling around to find my notes. So as far as I know, no, there isn't to just have like a global like thing that tells you what's which would be extremely helpful. But I don't have a plugin like that, so unfortunately, I don't know. Oh, wrong ways. Oh, D sharp. There you go. Good thing it's easy to hear those wrong notes. Sometimes I miss those wrong notes. Something automated? I don't know. If you write some very bizarre, peculiar chords, like if you have some passing tones, like how is MuseScore supposed to differentiate the melody from the chords, right? But maybe you could say just the horns or just the... I don't know, that sounds like too complicated, which is why MuseScore's not going to add it, because they're too busy not fixing all of the bugs in their stupid program. So, you know, we're just going to have to deal with it. This part here I'd also have to... Yeah, let the horns do most of the heavy lifting here, I think. But also some bass notes would be nice. And y'all, I also want the cellist to play all these fun parts, so... That's not right. Maybe like this would be fun. Let's make it a bit easier on these cello players. If only I could select this note without this being in the way. Get out of here. No, I don't think a violin can play this note. No, whatever. This F is beyond its reach. Can play an F double sharp. Does that count? Yeah, whatever. And then I want some very, very dramatic stuff happen. I mean, the chords here get very dramatic. I can go G3 to however high you want it. Oh, I know. But it can't go low. Can't go F sharp. I mean, I can. But it can also go very high, which apparently MuseScore, well, what's the highest MuseScore will let me go to? F sharp 9, which is basically G10. No, it's not G10, it's G9. That's not how it works. By the way, that's pretty high. What am I looking for? Right, the bass, which goes A, G, A, B here. Nice and arco. And then down to E. The lowest note here. Same thing with you. And you know what? Also violas. And you know what? Also violins. Crescendo for brass in the next chords. That's also what I was thinking. Big crescendo here. I also want big crescendo in the strings. They're not going to do anything particularly wacky though. They're just going to play some very simple bass figure. Just to really give a foundation for the brass chords to kind of build upon. And so, how do you do these compositions? Do you base one off a piece, or you just write stuff that sounds like what the composer would write? Okay, when I'm doing these arrangings, I don't really write it in the style that a composer would do it because, well, first of all, I think Brahms's orchestration is pretty lame. I don't think it's very interesting. So I don't think I'm necessarily aiming for something that he would orchestrate. I think his melodies are very, very awesome and way better than anything I could do. But his orchestration, I feel like I could do better than what Brahms did. That's okay though. I did kind of glance over like Nimrod before I did this as like a point of reference, but that's about all. Right, so y'all do the bang. Oh, that's a bit too loud. I think piano might be fine. Okay, right, and I also was going to do some, I have the brasses here doing stuff, but let's flesh out these chords here. So where was I? Around here. Right here. We have A, F. Probably also want this B here. Let's accentuate it with some oboe. Maybe even clarinet. No, oboe. No, no, no. Dynamics. Okay, and the harmony, well, what's the harmony like here? Does it doesn't look too different from what we had before. Although maybe I'm just not noticing it. Harmony here is much thicker in the chords. Ever heard about Nimrod before? Probably music. Given that it's music. I think Nimrod's also like a history, something about history or the Bible or something, but that I don't really know about. I just know the music. I know it was named after the dude named Nimrod in history, but beyond that I don't really know. Okay, what? Yeah, these chords are different. I just kind of copied and pasted the original melody, but here in the accompaniment it does change. So here it's like, you know what, let me just rewrite it. Wait, no. These parts I wanted to get rid of. That is F sharp, right? Earlier it was like F natural somewhere, but here it is F sharp. Okay. Used ironically by Bugs Bunny to refer to Elmer Fudd. Yeah. I mean, Nimrod is just kind of a weird name. Nimrod. It does sound kind of pejorative, just and almost derogatory. In like sort of like a nerdy way. But maybe that's just because of the way I grew up hearing about it. A Nimrod. But yeah, it's supposedly supposed to be a good thing to be a Nimrod. Actually. Thanks for calling me Nimrod, nerd. Let's do some oboe bits. Okay. And then B sharp, very different than C. And then also forte here, and then some decrescendo here. Oh, something there sounded wrong. These B sharps are correct, right? Yeah, there's B sharp, E, and also E. The bass is playing A. Yeah, that's all correct. There's also F here, F sharp here in this, but I haven't done that. Which is what I'm, like, the brass is gonna fill in these chords. Let me just hear it first, though. I guess maybe I just didn't hear it in context, which made it sound a bit strange. Out of context is bad, but in context is awesome. As most things are. No, 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 no. Okay, and some wonderful chords are probably a happening, a hyuk over here, which is, I don't know what it's gonna be. What's that? C sharp, G sharp? That's G sharp, right? There's a G sharp, there's a G sharp. Here, C sharp, G sharp, B and A, which is some chord. C sharp, G sharp, B, A. Oh, whatever. It's like a cluster. So let's just add those things in. Or wait. Yeah. There's this. Yeah, wait. No. Yes. Yes. You can keep playing B. You can play C sharp. There's that wonderful cluster there. And probably want some more brassy stuffs happening. Or maybe I should make this a more pure sounding chord. What would that even be though? Could have you play some imitation of the bass while you play some stuff on the top. And the trombones could maybe, or maybe actually, maybe that's exactly what we'll do. We'll have the horns here do this, which might be kind of fun. Or I guess it would make more sense to just... No, no, no. What is this other option? Get out of here. Get out of my face. You more like... Let me just specify that you're two here. And then the trombones here can fill in some of the middle parts. Which are going to be... I didn't think this far ahead. C, G, or B, C and B and G and D and C and B and do G. You guys are a little quiet. I'll have to raise your volume in a sec. There are like these fourths moving here that I could do. Maybe we'll do that. And then you're what? D sharp and A. And that's this chord here. You know what? You go back up to E. There you go. And I guess I'll have some slurs happening here. You know what? Nice and loud. Be loud and proud like the brass holes you are. Okay, those, that sounds a little awkward there with that pause. Okay, that's good. So... yeah, you guys. And I still also want these, like, movements here, which I was planning to put in a tuba, so maybe I shall do that. Some movement in the tuba. What was it? Any slurs that Brahms wrote? Yeah. Brahms wrote a lot of slurs. Any, okay, no accidentals, we're good. Okay, maybe I should have everyone be a bit more dramatic than that. Like, mezzo forte, nice and big and loud. Oh yeah. Okay, it's kind of hard to hear everyone like that. So shut up. All you guys, go back down. No, 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 no. The other way, nerds. There you go. Or I'll turn down the volume a bit. Okay, try again from the beginning of the phrase. You know, let's just start over. Okay, I think it's a little strange if everyone else just kind of shuts up. I think we do need some of this, movement like this. Okay, try again. Okay, I think some rubato is in order. Like, at the end of this phrase, it can slow down a tiny, tiny bit. And I do mean a tiny bit. Not very much. Try again. Everyone comes in a bit too suddenly. That's not very good. Like, those brasses, they don't come in very nicely. We're gonna do about that. I'm gonna have you guys hold on a bit more. Yeah, everyone comes in a bit too soon. Probably need the bassoons to at least come in around here. Or maybe like... And I think maybe the tuba is a bit too heavy-handed here. More bassoon happening. Okay. I think that's fine. I might be, and might be is a big, strong word. I might be happy with that. I also realized the third clarinet isn't doing anything. Maybe I should give it a job. You can play also what the first clarinet's doing. Why not? I think some timpani is in order. But I don't know where it would go. Go. And once again, probably a more substantial retardando here. Okay, any more stuff I need to add here? Maybe some percussion. I think a rather soft timpani hit here is nice. Oh my gosh. But I do mean soft. Like mezzo piano maybe, or maybe just piano. A bit. Oh my gosh, why are there two of you? And some bass drum parts here would be nice. Especially here. Not mfg, just f. Actually, sure. Longer than that. I don't want you to be a... Nope, you can't tremolo or rest. At least, not you, you can't. Actually, I don't like that as much as I thought I would. Go back to the old way. Should I maybe add like a triangle or something? I'm very fond of the triangle, so I don't know. A bit louder, you guys. I can't really hear the woodwinds that much, and the brass. I'm not holding those. Okay. And then once again, the timpani. I want to hear it with the softer mallets. Okay. I think that it'll be good. Let's give it a listen from the beginning. And you know what? Just to keep with the theme of this stream, I'll make it even quieter and slower. You know what? I'm gonna turn up the volume for this playback. Go! I think the retard down to here has to be a bit longer. Okay. The rest cut off so sharply, probably because I turned off the reverb for most of these. So it's just gonna sound like that. So it does sound a little dull. I could reintroduce some reverb, but the musical reverb's usually kind of bad, so usually I have it off. But it's not like a huge deal. Not complaining that much. Okay, well, awesome. I think that's enough orchestration for me today. I got 16 bars done in 2 hours. That must be a world record for me. I'm so fast. Thanks for watching, I guess. Or if you just got here, too bad, so sad. You can join my Discord server and with the link below and stuff if you want to see more of my face. Then you can go there. Also subscribe, I guess. Alright, bye. Make sure to practice your skills.